help me out a lot. Nikki's going to introduce everyone. We're used to a panel of 3 or 4, but we're here at 6 ABC, and there's a reason they're number 1.
And what we're going to do right now is, because it's mainly going to be question and answer, and then obviously myself and Larry will actually feed questions to make sure we're steering good information, the right information, helpful information your way. How many are juniors? How many are seniors?
I keep on saying
All right, any sophomores or freshmen? Oh, okay, all right, well, this is definitely good. But
Can you use the
seniors,
microphone?
really listen up, that's all I want you to know, because you'll be entering the market in just a few.
Can you get a mic?
Can you use the microphone so we can?
Yeah, I can't hear you.
Oh, okay, okay.
Oh,
We'll get
that's
the mic,
right.
no problem. What we'll do is, I thought it was loud enough now. Okay.
They want broadcast quality.
They want broadcast quality. What we're gonna do is, like, and I'll start with myself and Larry, I'm just gonna, we're gonna say the name, your undergrad, right? Graduate, college, and what you majored in, which I think will be important. And then tell us your title here at 6 ABC, and just 2 sentences on what you do on a day, just 1 or 2 sentences. So again, just your name, we'll get the name, what undergrad they went to, because you can make some alumni connections, which is great. And it's interesting, I want you to listen to what they majored in, see if it reflects, and listen to what they're doing now, because a lot of times it changes. So here we go. My name is Anika Hawkins. I went to Spelman College in Atlanta, Georgia, and I got a degree in drama and theater and acted for like the first 5 years of my career before getting into television.
By the way, Nikki is on vacation today.
Nikki's on vacation today, but she's here for all of us. I'm Larry Litwin. I spent many years at KYW News Radio. I taught as a full and part-time professor at Rowan University for 42 years. My degree from Parsons College in Iowa is in business, and then I got a communication degree in educational public relations at Rowan University, and I became the education reporter at KYW News Radio.
Hey everybody, I'm Ashley Lewis. I went to Temple University and majored in media studies and production. I'm an adjunct professor there now, so I teach intro to media tech, if any of you have taken that. And at 6 ABC, I'm a social media producer, so if you follow our Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, that's usually me doing that.
Hi everybody, my name's Anya Bailey. I went to Westchester University and I majored in communication studies and minored in journalism. And here at 6 ABC, I'm a public affairs coordinator and a producer. So on the public affairs side, I assist Nikki with our community engagements, manage our PSAs, and then on the producing side, I produce and write specials, segments, and line produce some specials as well.
Hi everyone, my name is Ashley Farris. I did my undergrad at the University of Delaware in business and finance, and then I went back to school and I got my master's in journalism from Temple University, so I do have some Temple pride. I am a producer here in the programming department. We produce a show called FYI Philly, so lifestyle and entertainment, as well as a lot of specials throughout the year. And the parades and live events, and so write and produce and get to meet a lot of great people.
Hey everyone, I'm Amanda Brady. I also went to Temple University, studied media studies and production, and I'm a producer editor here at Channel 6 in our programming department, so I write, produce, edit for our show FYI Philly, and I work on all our live specials, field produce and segment produce for those too as well.
All right, I'm going to do this.
Okay.
I'm going to initiate this transition of here. Hi, everybody. I'm Troy Bauer. I did not go to Temple University. I'm sorry. I went to DeSales University. You've probably never heard of it. I was a TV film major. I'm currently a audience engagement producer here at 6 ABC, which is kind of a new title that is being developed in the ABC television group. And basically, I work on producing content that reaches out to our audience and expands our audience on digital platform as well as on television. And I do a lot of promotions, so creating a lot of commercials, advertise the station and our brand. I think that's it.
I'm Pat Delsey, chairman of the board of the Broadcast Pioneers. I didn't go to Temple, but I did Temple football for over a decade, and that was a lot of fun. We did a Temple broadcast from Japan. So it was a wonderful way to get involved in the business. As Jerry said, I never worked a day in my life. I've been in this business for over 62 years. I started with a love of music. That was my desire at the time, when I was about your age, to get into the business. And I enjoyed being a disc jockey for many, many years. But I also found out that I had so many other things that I had to do because of the boss. If you wanted to be a DJ, you also had to do news. You had to do sports. You had to do interviews and so forth. So over the years, I did news and weather and sports. I did, as I said, broadcast from Drexel University. I did 30 years of Drexel basketball. I think I'm the longest running broadcaster of sports at Drexel. As a matter of fact, I'm the only non-player, non-coach inducted into their Hall of Fame. So it was a great honor that they gave me because I was with them for about 30 years. But over the years, and that's one of the things I want to remind you to diversify, make sure you do everything that you can do. Anything that is presented to you, get involved in it. Do it even if it's not what you want to do, not what your desire is in this business. If it's there at the moment, do it because it'll come to help you later on in your broadcast career. And overall, the activity, of course, of 62 years in the business, starting as a DJ, working my way through all those things that I mentioned, and eventually buying my own radio station. And that was a fulfillment of my activity in this field. It's been a great field. We welcome you. I wish you 62 years of experience and wonderful activity in this field. Thank you for coming today, and we hope we can help you.
And this is an industry that you never want to retire from. Pat is in his early 80s, he still works in the business. Same thing, I'm 69. I basically produced a rock and roll show on Wednesday for one of our lunches, very similar to what I did at WPVI 17 years ago. You don't want to ever retire.
Okay. Hi, I'm Maxine Crooks. I'm executive producer of news here at 6ABC. I'm a LaSalle University graduate. LaSalle is not a place that you normally think of for communications, but I was in that earlier transition when they started doing communications. As executive producer of news, I'm basically kind of in charge of the daily production of the news, overseeing what the producers, writers, reporters, and everyone does. So.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Shari Williams. I'm a news anchor here at 6ABC. I anchor the 4 and 10 o'clock newscast. I came here 2 years ago to the market of Philadelphia, and I'm loving where I am here at Channel 6. I came here from Dallas, Texas, was my job prior to coming here. I did my undergraduate at the University of Tennessee in Knoxville. I started my college career as a pre-med major. When I got into my sophomore year, I did switch to broadcast journalism, which is where I did end up getting my degree, and my minor is in political science and psychology. I would say I kind of started my TV run in high school and loved it. We had the opportunity to have, at that time, one of 2 high schools in the county, which was in Memphis and Shelby County. They had a full-on studio in high school, and I literally worked it like it was a full-time job. They didn't pay me a dime. I listened to several of those prior to me speak of getting your hands on as much as you can along the way. I know how to shoot, I know how to edit, I know how to produce, and I've done all of those jobs professionally. I know how to report, and I'm also now an anchor. And I would say that really is the key, being as diverse as you possibly can, because you just don't know when you will need that tool and that weapon. When the market changes and things begin to move around, you'll have more than one talent, more than one skill. And it also helps for the big picture if you understand for the other people you work with every day what they're going through and what they have to do so that you can work as a team, because we don't get on air by one person. It really takes a lot of us to put on a newscast. So I look forward to taking your questions this morning.
Hi, everyone.
My name is Jen Lassen, and I am our marketing supervisor here at 6ABC. I graduated from Bucknell University in May 2015, so I was just in a lot of your shoes very recently. I double majored in English and Spanish with a minor in film and media studies, and as I said, now work in marketing. So my path has taken a lot of twists and turns, and I'm really thankful for my internships here at Channel 6, which helped me discover what I really like, and which is this industry and being a part of it. And as our marketing supervisor here, I'm lucky to work with a lot of our clients and sponsors who advertise on our station and are really strong partners with us. So whether that's integrating them in our custom campaigns or our station events or any of our digital and of course on air, it's a really exciting job, and I really like that we get to work with a lot of different people and build these strong partnerships.
Hello everybody, I'm Trevor Vaughn. I am a sales graduate, second person you probably learned from that school today. I was a TV film major. I am a segment producer here at Channel 6. I got my start here actually as a 2-year stint as a sports producer under Maxine as my EP for the weekend. And I help support now the programming department in editing, shooting, writing, and pretty much everything. And I've learned here how to say yes and how to say no, but yes really works out.
Great, and we'll open up, this is one round of applause for our panel. Charlotte, obviously, many of you, how many of you have internships? Right? Currently in internships right now? Okay, gotcha. How many of you were interns here at Channel 6? All right, so I just want you to know how important internships actually are. They can actually lead to employment, and I forgot to raise my hand. I was an intern in the early 90s and came back, so it's definitely important. We're gonna open it up to questions, and then if you want to come over here. Questions? I'm going to have you stand up here.
Is this working? Okay. So, hi everybody. My name's Dalton Nose. I'm a Stockton student.
Mic check.
Walk over here because it's not stretching. So my name's Dalton Lenoza. I'm a senior at Stockton University. One of the questions I had for you guys, I hear a lot about diversity and wanting to know everything and making sure that you're expansive with your skills. I worry about knowing a little bit about everything but not enough about something, about one specific thing. Is there any kind of advice you can give me on that in terms of where to focus my studies? And I know you said take any opportunity that comes to you, and that's how you get your foot in the door, but I'm just worried about how I can solidify all of my skills without going too far into a bunch of different things.
What is your interest?
Okay, so I'm a sports media person. I write for Fansided, 2 different blogs, and I'm also a TV production major, so I work for Latino Motion, which is a Latino talk show, public access, that's held at Stockton, the same studio, so that's filmed and put on TV in Galloway.
Hand off the mic and come on, sit on down. That's good. That's how we'll do it. Stand up, give your question, hand off the mic, sit back down.
I think basically what has been mentioned by almost all of the panelists is diversity. Don't worry about one specific thing at this point in your life. Whatever becomes available, as I said before, comes available to you, take it and work with it for a day, a week, a month, or whatever. That's number one, because you never know where you're going to wind up. But knowing a little bit about everything is going to help you in the long run. Because when you do reach the point that you reach the area that you want to be in, you'll be more proficient at it because you did all the other things. So diversify is most important. Diversity is your key. But nobody can tell you more importantly that you have to get involved in some form now. Most of you are seniors, that's tough. But if you're freshmen, as I've met a few freshmen here today, start now. Don't wait till grad time to knock on the door and say, I'd like to work for you. Get involved now in any way you can, whether it be radio or TV or cable or the internet. you have more availability of items to do, things to do, areas to work in today than ever before. Matter of fact, the internet changed everything 10, 12 years ago. The internet has changed broadcasting in every way you can think of. When I first started, for example, many years ago, as I said, your radio station that you worked at usually went 40 miles. Your TV station went 45, 50 miles, and that was the extent of the area that you covered as a broadcasting activity. Today, because of the internet, that has changed every way. As an example, I mentioned that I did Drexel sports for years. Well, when we were coming back from a ball game, you know, since the internet started, we were streaming our broadcasts, and a player would come up to me and say, "Oh, Mr. Delsey, my parents watched the ball game last night, and they want me to thank you for broadcasting the game." And I knew the player was from Lithuania, and another one from Belgium, another one from France. Their parents were able to watch their child play basketball at Drexel University wherever they were. Now, it might be 3 o'clock in the morning, so they would tape it and maybe watch it the next day. But the fact that you could do that was tremendous. So this area of broadcasting gives you so many opportunities. Take advantage, get involved.
Yeah, and I just kind of want to expand on that because even right now with the whole digital aspect of television becoming, you know, a major part of this, my boss actually gave me really good advice and said you kind of have to be a Swiss Army knife in this industry. You can't just go into it thinking I'm going to become an editor, I'm going to become a producer, I'm going to become a writer. That just doesn't fly anymore. You know, I went to school to be an editor. I was like, I'm going to be an editor. This is what I want to do. I want to focus on this. Came here as an intern, I started to edit, and now I'm producing, I'm writing, I'm shooting, I'm filming, I'm doing all sorts of different things that I never would have dreamed of as an intern. So don't put yourself in a box and say, hey, I want to do just this. Expand your horizons, you know, be good on social media. That's huge right now. You know, learn how to edit. Even if you're not really good at it, just know how to do it. You're going to be more marketable that way, especially in our day and age when, you know, kids are doing all these really elaborate videos on YouTube. You know, they're learning how to do all of these different skills on their own, and you gotta keep up with the times, and you gotta be marketable. You have to be that Swiss Army knife. You know, you have to be able to do. You gotta be one person that could do multiple different things. So.
Another question, and then.
Does anyone else want to answer?
I wanted to just say, and I want to be brief. I know we have a lot of questions.
Give her
We want
a
to
mic.
get to a lot of things. It's okay to. I tell people all the time, I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up, and it's okay. I still have dreams, I still have goals, and I'm not going to forget those. In the meantime, the opportunities that come, just grab a hold of them. And you'll know when it's time to move to the next thing. You will. But as you can acquire as many skills as you can along the way, just do them. I've worked in sports, I work in news, I write, I've shot, I've done the sports on air, behind the scene. You know, it's okay. You will see as you go, you'll be getting all these different opportunities, and just add them to your arsenal. And you will know when it's time for you. If you want to be on air, then you find your opportunity to get on air. I will say that. For those of you who want to be on air, you have to make sure you get out there and you start doing it. Because the only way you get better is you have to do it when it comes to the on-air portion.
So, come up. Well, while she's coming up, I'll tell you exactly what Sharon and everyone's saying. I had a student some years ago, Karen Rogers. She was here. All she wanted to be was a writer. And one day, they pointed to her, she had to go on the air, and she was ready.
Hi, my name is Kylie Winkler. I'm a Temple junior. I'm studying broadcast journalism. My question is this working? Okay. My question is, I am getting my first internship in broadcast this summer. So for you guys who just interned more recently, what are some tips and tricks that you have, like little insiders that have helped me?
I can.
Yes, this is like the whole intern section, yeah. As an intern, always say yes to everything. Be game for anything. You'll find that when you work hard, no matter if you don't know how to edit, how to write yet, anything you do, if you work hard, that pays off. When people see that you're down for anything and you want to learn, being eager to learn and being up for anything, that shows people that you're willing, like I said, to work hard. That goes so far. And then once, you know, you prove yourself, that's when more opportunities come. That's when, you know, your first day of your internship, they're not going to give you like, you know, go produce your own segment. That's fine. But you have to show a willingness to learn and an eagerness. And once they see that you're ready to do that, that's when the opportunities come. So just really, and learn from everybody. Take the opportunity to go around and meet everybody. What do they do? You know, just because I'm in programming, like when I was an intern, I went around to the entire station and I tried to learn, like, what does everybody do here? What are your roles? How did you get there? Because once you do that, like I know when I first started my internship, I said I wanted to be on air. Then I got a taste of writing and producing. I was like, no, this is what I want to do. So you'll learn, don't pigeonhole yourself into one thing, just like we were all, you know, saying. Be willing to do anything and work hard and it will pay off. You're welcome.
And you really want to like grab your internship by the horn. Like, no one's gonna come up to you and be like, hey, go out in the field, go ask these questions. Hey, can you do this? Go up to everybody. Hey, I'm so and so. Nice to meet you. What can I do to help you? I always tell our interns, like, I'm not gonna walk you through this. You know, show me you want this. This is a cutthroat industry, and if you want this, you gotta show it because no one's gonna hold your hand to do it. So really just, you know, show that you're passionate, show that this is what you're going to do, like Ashley said, learn everything, because there's so much that you might not know about this industry. There's so many people doing so many different things, and an internship's where you're going to learn it, and, you know, if you really, you know, take the initiative, they're going to be the ones to remember you when a position opens up, because you know what, that intern really stood up.
And I think also it's really important, expanding off of what Ashley and Amanda said too, seeking opportunities is so important and not sitting back and waiting for something, but showing that you can do something. So I think when I was an intern, it was really crucial for me to show my skills and put myself out there. So what I used to do, I wrote a lot of sample scripts, or I produced sample videos, and I would confidently approach my supervisor and say, hi, I want to talk to you about this script that I wrote or this video that I produced, because you have to show what you can do, and then by showcasing yourself and being confident in your abilities and really saying, hey, I can do this, and I want to show you that I can not only work hard, but I'm trying to hone my skills and practice. That effort goes a long way. So seeking opportunities is a really key piece of advice that helped me, I think, to stand out and stick around, and you'll never know where it may lead. So I think that's really important.
Sorry. And I think piggybacking off exactly what they said about opportunities and going for it, it's also then getting back to what you've heard plenty of times is knowing people and timing. So connections and timing. And once you've proven yourself, those people are going to seek you out when there's openings and positions. And I know for all of us, there have been that timing has come in handy. I was an intern here editing FYI Philly, and a day later I was in my boss's office and she asked me if I wanted to produce sports. I hadn't graduated college yet. I hadn't ever used ENPS. 2 years later, I know how to time a show. I know how to edit a highlight as it airs. And then you develop new relationships with new people, and then now I evolved my skills into other things, but it's these opportunities and the people, you show them you know how to do it, they're going to take advantage of that. And then one day you can help hire people.
And just one quick point. Something I learned as an intern that I think is very, very important is to not be afraid to take an opportunity because you think you're going to fail at it. Being an intern is learning how to fail and overcoming that, and learning that this is a learning experience. When you're in the industry, you don't want to fail. That's a bad time to fail. But when you're an intern, that's when you should be failing. That's when you should be learning from your mistakes. It's a learning opportunity. So don't ever be like, I don't want to do this because I don't think I'm going to be good at it. Do it. If you fail, you learn. And that's key. I think that's a huge, huge part of it. And then you get all of that out of the way so that when you have your job, you know how to succeed and you know how to do it well. So I think that's key.
Thank you. Another question? Thank you.
You'll be next. You'll go and then you'll. There you go. Oh. No. Be on deck.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Shannon Davis, digital video production student at Community. In terms of, I know it's probably difficult to hammer down percentages, but would it be fair to say that a lot of field production, not requiring like news or regular daily programming, but like special events, would it be fair to say that a lot of that content is being produced out of house, or is there the majority of it still in-house? Not generally just with yourself, but with television stations in general.
Oh, that is a good question. A lot of it is still in-house. I mean, what we do as a news organization, everything basically is done here. Producing, you know, we still have photographers. I know a lot of stations are going to, you know, one-man band, MMJs. We still have photographers, editors. Here we've got new people joining us. Hey, guys. Hi. Welcome. Great. Chris Sowers and Ray Hall joining us.
Where have they been? Where have they been?
They actually had to do a show. So.
I saw you guys at 6 o'clock. I know you were awake at least at 5
Yeah, watching them. 6 o'clock, watching.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so in answer to your question, yeah. I mean, I guess it depends on what, you know, are you talking about news in general, or were you talking about?
Not specifically. Let us say, not your like evening broadcast or your morning show.
Yeah, but like big
like
events?
Special programs or events, like live events
Oh,
in
yeah.
the field especially.
Yeah.
Would you say that much of it is the station deploying personnel, or?
I think it's a station-by-station decision. I mean, I think Nikki could answer to that a little bit more in terms of the parade and everything that we still do in-house as opposed to a lot of other stations, I think, right?
Absolutely. I would say yes and yes. This is actually what we're going into, and we'll talk a little bit later about this is a gig economy. You go from gig to gig to gig to gig, right? And you've heard that? Have your professors told you this about production? I want to see some head, yes, okay. Well, if you haven't heard it from your professors, you're hearing it now. If you want to work in production, there are less and less full-time jobs. Oh, look, I want everyone nodding. There are less and less full-time jobs, but there are still a lot of work to be done. So they hire on a freelance basis, on a permalance basis, on a per project basis. So there's tons of needs for, you know, for production. There's tons of television going on. There's tons of film going on. There's tons of digital media production going on. So absolutely. We're very lucky to have a robust programming department here at a local news affiliate. We're like the #1 news affiliate in like the country recently. The 6 p.m. newscast was the most watched newscast here in the entire country. Clap it on. Clap on. News producers here and talented, you know, teamwork makes the dream work. But we have a robust programming department. That's not true at every local news affiliate. If they do specials, they usually do hire out. And I just, you know, came from visiting a friend who was an intern here. He now works at the NFL Network, and that's a gig. It's a robust gig, but it's not necessarily full-time in that regard. But it's a fabulous job. So I just want you to be prepared for that. So if it's not necessarily a full-time job, it could be part-time work, or it could be per project. So absolutely, there's tons of work. And just make sure you look into that. That sometimes it might not be full-time, but it can be wonderful and fulfilling and fabulous and pay well and all that good stuff.
Nikki, introduce our executive producer who just came in.
Yes, okay, so there's a couple of folks that just came in, some fabulous folks. Say your name, your title, your undergrad, and what you do.
Good morning. My name is Portia Grant, and I am an executive producer here at Channel 6. I went to the University of Georgia. I'm from Georgia. You might pick up on a little accent. It's coming. Yeah, y'all is my favorite word. So I studied at Georgia. I went home to my hometown of Augusta, Georgia. I worked for a couple of years as a producer. Went to Charlotte, and then I came to Philly, and I've been at Channel 6 for about 10 years now.
And you started out wanting to do news, right?
I started out wanting to do news. I actually, I was in school, and I would drive home on the weekends, and I was an AP at a station. I'd drive home an hour and a half from UGA to Augusta, and I would shoot VOs and write scripts and then go back to class during the week. So I was an employee, and by the time my People who wanted to be on air, my classmates, they were sending resumes out. I already had a business card. I've been working on it.
Are we at two other folks?
Okay, good morning, everybody. You all look so great this morning. You can tell from the South. Y'all look so great this morning. I just want, before I start, to say one thing to you, that teamwork makes the dream work, so remember that. That's right. So, I'm going to steal that. Yeah, I stole that from you. So I graduated from Dillard University, and I majored in mass communications. And in high school, I always knew I wanted to be a journalist. So I was a part of a journalism workshop in Dallas, Texas. That's where I'm originally from. And I got my first on-air job. Well, actually, we'll go back. I got my first TV job. It was actually in production in Dallas, Texas, at the CBS affiliate there. I ran the cameras, took the scripts to the anchors, and I was like, someday someone's going to bring me some scripts. And so I got my first on-air job in Greenville, Mississippi, over 15 years ago. And I was a one-man band, which means I shot, I edited, I produced, and I ran the prompter with a little foot control. So I did it all. I did. And so it was one of those things, and I loaded up the car and packed the little stuff that I had and drove to Greenville, Mississippi. I said, what am I doing? What am I getting myself into? But it all worked out years later. After Mississippi, I went to work as a weekend anchor in Charleston, South Carolina for the NBC affiliate. I was there for several years. And after that, was it Miami? I think I went to Miami after that. I can't remember now. Miami, where I had a chance to work with Shari. Different stations, but we worked in the same market together. Then after Miami, I went to Richmond, Virginia. I was a morning anchor there for NBC for about 6 years. And most recently, had this great opportunity to come to 6 ABC, and I've been here 3 months. I'm the newbie here. And thank you. You're all so nice. And so I'm the weekend morning anchor, and of course I report 3 days a week. So you kind of get the best of both worlds, where you get to go out and report and do the daily grind and get to meet the community and meet the people. And then I get to work with this guy on the weekend, and also Nia Han on Sunday. So that's a little bit about me. Chris, it's all you.
Tell them how much you enjoyed your first blizzard.
Oh my gosh. Yes, I was here maybe, Maxine, I don't know, was it a couple weeks? And I remember Tom, the news director, came to my desk. He said, Gray, you won't be anchoring this weekend. You're going to be out in the field. I was like, okay. It was my first blizzard, and I'll never forget, because first of all, I've never been in a blizzard. And my first live shot, I had the yardstick upside down. I think I had it upside down. But I learned eventually as the live shots went on and on and on and on and on and on. So, and on, yeah, it never stopped.
I mean, at that point, it didn't matter anymore. I mean, we were measuring it in yards. It's funny, that same day, I'm standing outside on City Avenue, and I'm in a drift. It was coming up to my waist, and every time the wind would blow, the snow off the top of the drift would go right in my face. So for 9 hours, that's what I was enduring. My name's Chris Sowers. I'm the weekend meteorologist here at Channel 6. I've been here. Actually, this is my second time here. I started back in 2000, and I was here from 2000 to 2005 as a weather producer, and then I started back here in 2010 till today, and now I'm in front of the camera. And probably the most important piece of advice that I could give all of you is to do your internships. What year are you guys? Juniors, sophomores, seniors? Sophomores? So when I applied here back in 2000, Carla Carpenter was the news director then, and she calls me in. I'm sitting in her office, and I look over to the right, and there's a table with probably 50 to 100 different tapes there. So I'm thinking, okay, I've got a 1 in 100% chance of getting this job. I come to find out they weren't all weather applications, but still, you get the idea. There were a lot of other people applying for the same exact job. The one thing that stood out with me were all the internships that I did. So when they brought me into the weather office, I had interned on the same exact computer systems that we had here. So when I stepped in there, I mean, they were asking me to do this, do that, and I'm knocking it out in like 5 minutes. And whereas the other people that had come in, they hadn't had that experience, and they didn't even know how to build a single graphic. So that kind of put me over the top. So the one thing that I would suggest to you guys is to do the internships, because you always hear people say, well, how can I get experience? I'm fresh out of school. That's how you get your experience. You do the internships, and that'll set you apart. I went to school at Kean University, which is up in northern Jersey. It's about 5-10 minutes outside of New York City. Graduated with a meteorology degree. And funny thing was, when I first started, I didn't even want to be in front of the camera. I just wanted to be the guy who kind of builds the graphics and creates the forecast. And then Dave Roberts, do you guys remember Dave Roberts? Dave Roberts sat next to me right where Shari is, and he looked at me and he goes, you know, you're not that bad looking. And I said, I was like, all right, I'm not sure where this is going, but he saw that, you know, I had gotten a little, not bored, but I was kind of overqualified for the job that I was doing. So he actually, well, it was the old building. This building wasn't built yet, but he took me under his wing, and we actually started working in front of the camera like 3 days a week. And all of a sudden, I put this tape together and sent it out, and a bunch of people called. So then I went to Bowling Green, Kentucky, became the chief meteorologist there in front of the camera. And then I went to Chicago, and I worked 3 years out there, weekend meteorologist. And then Cecily called me and said, get your tape here, we're hiring. So I came back here, and now I'm in front of the camera. So that's kind of how my story went. But it's been fun. This is my backyard. It's great to be back home. And I love the area. So again, do the internships, and you'll be okay.
Great advice. I just want to let Ray know, after covering blizzards for 30 years or 35 years, I miss it. When I leave it, no. One thing I do not miss. So one thing I do not miss. There you go.
Hey everyone, I'm Marilise Lorario. I go to Bloomsburg University. I'm a sophomore, mass communications major in broadcasting, telecommunications, trying to figure that out now. My question is, so as a college student in the early 20s, we always hear it's not what you know, it's who you know. And I know that that question was kind of already answered a little bit. And I know that you need to be diverse in what you know and stuff like that, but for all the people that's sitting in front of me, did you have more connections to help you get where you are today, or was it more of you working hard and what you did yourself? That's kind of my question.
I think it's a mix of both. My professors gave me that same advice to network, and I kind of thought, oh, well, you know, I work hard, I have good grades, I have a couple internships under my belt, but it's so important to network. And it's not necessarily it doesn't have to be in the communications field. I was a manager for the men's basketball team at Temple, and that's how I got my foot in the door here, to have, you know, spend a day here, and meet some of the people, and that's how I found out about a social media producer opening. So I think it's a mix of both, but my biggest piece of advice is to be pleasantly aggressive. Someone told me that once, and that's always stuck with me. So, and just be nice. It's like things you learned in kindergarten. If you're nice to people and you show that you have a passion for this, it doesn't really matter. You don't know, like, your neighbor could be have a connection with somebody, or, you know, someone you volunteer with. So don't just try to impress your professors and your internship supervisors. Try to just be a good person, and you know, good things will come to you.
I kind of have a really weird, sorry, I kind of have a really interesting story about how I got connected with the station. So I was in high school and I was very actively involved in my television department. So like Shari, we had a really awesome, you know, TV studio in high school. And back when I was in high school, the 6ABC Facebook page was just being launched. So I mean, this was, you know, before social media was really, you know, a thing. And my mom just so happened to be one of the first people to like the 6ABC Facebook page. And she was pleasantly aggressive on the Facebook page. Just, you know, actively commenting on these posts. And she got an email from this guy named Mike Monsell. We're like, who's this Mike Monsell guy? And he's like, hi, I'm a VP at 6ABC. We don't have a social media department here. We're just trying to figure out this whole social media thing. And he's like, I noticed you're active on our page. He's like, how would you like to come down to the station and become a social media Facebook moderator for us? So at the time, before they had people working in social media like Ashley, he actually had volunteers on the page checking for curse words, making sure that people weren't saying nasty things on the page. And my mom just happened to be this person that he reached out to. And when I found that out, I was like, Mom, is there any way you can get me to go down there? I'd love to go see the station. So she emailed him and she's like, hey, do you mind if I bring my son? He's, you know, a junior in high school. He would love to come down and see the station. And I came down and I had lunch with Mike, and, you know, we've been connected ever since that. And I would always reach out to him. Every year after that, I would email him, just be like, hey, just checking in to see how you're doing. You know, here's what I'm doing. I'm a college student, blah, blah, blah. By the time I was a junior, he's like, hey, are you interested in an internship? You should apply. And I'm like, sure. And I did, and I got the internship, and I've kind of been here ever since. So you never know how you're going to make these connections. And like I said, that was one of those opportunities that just came out of nowhere. And now social media exploded, and my mom doesn't do that anymore. But it's really, really interesting how you can kind of make connections. So, you know, keep those doors open.
And regarding who you know or how well you do what you do, is a combination of both. Knowing people certainly will help. So I would say, as you met people alongside yourself today, keep those friendships going. You know, never know when one guy will find a job and he will help a girl get to that station because they met here. You made a connection here, and that person could help you possibly in the future. But most important, things usually happen by accident. First of all, a quick story about Channel 6. Years ago, many moons ago, Channel 6 wanted to change their news format. And they were trying to search for what could work. And a person who worked here then was the manager, George Kohler, lived in South Jersey. And they were having meetings about what they're going to do, how they're going to do this new news format. They were working on it, but hadn't started yet. He was driving to work to go to one of the meetings to deal with that. And he saw a billboard as he approached the bridge. The billboard, all it had on the billboard was action. Big, bold letters. Action, just action. He didn't know what the billboard was for, other than the word was action. As he drove across the bridge and arrived here, went into the meeting and said, I've got the name of our news format. It's going to be Action News. So Action News, which is one of the most popular news broadcasts in the Delaware Valley, started by accident. And your life will be a combination of accidents as you progress in this field. But whatever you are doing at the moment, whatever you're doing next week or next month, do it to the best of your ability, regardless of what it is. You might think it's a nothing job or a nothing activity. Do it to the best of your ability and keep on progressing that way, and that will help you.
I just wanted to quickly say that I think your interpersonal skills are just as important as the skills that you have at, whatever it is that you want to do. Because you can get to know people at your internship, you can introduce yourself, but I would say try to be genuine and really develop relationships. So not just know people, but have a relationship with them to some extent so that they can remember you for when it's time to get that call back if they have a job open. So definitely work on your interpersonal skills as well. I think that's really important.
It's a little bit of both, like everybody has said. Oh yeah, sorry. It's a little bit of both. Like I worked really hard to get my internship. I worked really hard to get this job, but networking, especially now the way with it's going with freelance, it's a very freelance. The industry, they're not like we said, they're not hiring those full-time jobs. And when it comes to freelance, they're going to be hiring the people they know. If they're doing a one production, a huge production, the person who's coordinating it is going to reach out to those people they've worked with before and who they know and have them working on that production. Because when you're doing something, a one-and-go thing, you want people you can trust. So when it comes to the freelance, knowing people is huge.
Of course, there you go.
Hello, my name is Leon Purvis. I'm a dual major in radio, television, film, and broadcast journalism at Rowan University. One question I have, whoever, how long you've been in the field, whether it's 1 year or 62 years, what's the biggest objection you had to overcome in your career?
There you go, we have a volunteer.
I think for me personally, so I've only been doing this for 2 years. When I first graduated, I worked in finance for 3 years, and I always had dreams of doing TV, but to me, I was like, no one gets to do TV. No one gets to have fun all day and do that kind of stuff. And so when I went for it, I was 25, 26 at the time, and you guys all know everything, and I came into this interview here at Channel 6, and I didn't know how to edit. I didn't know what a camera was, all these things. I just had a passion, and I just wanted to talk to people and write and things like that. So for me, I had to overcome that fear of I wasn't good enough. and that I had to, and in a way it worked for me because I felt like I had to work harder than everybody else because I had to catch up with everything. But I guess I say you can't, how do I say this? Don't kind of keep going for it, no matter what, because, you know, despite if you're older or younger, you know, you're not going to get the dream job right away. And it should never discourage you. You know, your path may go a lot of different directions, and you may say to yourself, I can't get it done, I can't get it done, this is not going to happen for me. The biggest objection sometimes is just yourself. So just keep pushing forward no matter what, and you know, it'll happen, I swear. You work hard, you live the dream.
That's great. No, that's good. That's good advice. And the business is changing so much. You got to be flexible. You got to stay so flexible. The business is changing.
I'm gonna sound like that song from The Wiz, Believe in Yourself. It's so true. It's not a cliche, because you'll find yourself, excuse me, being a manager over people who have been in the business longer than you have been alive. So you want to doubt yourself. You question whether or not you should say this or that to that person. And just remember that when you do make it to where you are, you were put there for a reason, and you have to be your biggest fan and believe in yourself and be confident. So it was hard for me at first as I made my way through the ranks. I never really got a whole lot of pushback, like in a nasty way, but I kind of sensed that, you know, who's this kid? She's got this accent anyway, you know, and she's, you know, but I had to believe in myself, and that would be my advice to you. That was my biggest objection, was probably from me at first. So believe in yourself.
Thank you. But Maxine, I know Maxine's biggest objection was having to work with me.
Oh, yeah.
We had a lot of fun a few years ago, didn't we?
Hi, my name is Cecilia Heckman. I'm a sophomore at Cabrini College. So right now, as a sophomore, I'm kind of really actively involved in all the different media that we have, but I know internships are also really important, and I'm kind of wondering, is it better to focus on internships and doing different internships, or to stay more actively involved, because time-wise, it's tough to be extremely involved in both, so I'm wondering which one would be better to focus on.
We're down to about 8 minutes, so
Okay,
we'll
really
try
quick.
to do
I don't know if this even works, so I'm just going to talk loudly. It's a really, really hard thing to balance the two. Troy and I went to a school that was an hour and a half away with 76 traffic, but we did it 3 days a week. Back then, before Nikki, there was Linda Munich, who just brought me in, kept me consistent. I was able to keep up with my studies, but I had them understand that I had a goal here at Channel 6. And when you have goals and you set them, you can achieve both. And I think you can do both. That you shouldn't weigh one heavier than the other, but once you set a goal one place, try to reach it.
And it really is important to do internships. The connections you make, you know, are invaluable.
And that was the other thing. I wanted to say this actually a couple minutes ago. The first point I made, I cannot stress this enough, internships, because it's going to set you apart from the next guy sitting right next to you. Another thing is, do not burn bridges. Everybody knows everybody in this business. When you first come out of school, obviously you're not going to know anybody, so you're going to be hired on your ability, you know, what they see in your resume tape. They're going to hire you. And then as you start working your way up the chain or up the ladder to your mid-markets and then eventually your large markets, then obviously it's going to come into play. Do I know this person? Do I know that person? And it'll help. It certainly is going to help you. But I'm telling you, do not burn bridges. If you get fired, and it's going to happen, some of you are going to get fired. I've been fired. Don't take it personal, and don't storm out of that building and give that news director a hard time, because next thing you know, when you go to apply to another job, they're going to look at him as a reference, and he's going to be like, well, you know, she kind of was a little nasty with me, and blah, blah. They all know each other. So internships, and don't burn bridges. That's probably the best advice I can give you.
Thanks, Chris. I just want to piggyback on Chris really quick. I just finished doing about 1.5 years work for 4 different employers in the Atlanta area, DeKalb and Fulton County and Athens, which is familiar to right over here. And I asked the question a year ago, I said, how did you hear about me? Because people in this business, they talk, so you want to leave them with a good impression.
Hi, my name's Jake Smolinski. I'm a junior TV production and digital design student at LaSalle University. And I guess my question kind of comes along with social media. I know, how can, I guess, we as students start to build like our social media presence, like while still like keeping a personality, but keeping it professional? Like, what do you guys like look for in regards to that?
Another great question.
So a lot of your professors probably tell you, make your accounts private. You don't want people seeing what you're posting on social media. But my boss actually said the opposite. He looks at people he's going to hire and sees what they post about. If you want to be a sports reporter, then most of the things you should be tweeting about are sports. You should be retweeting, other anchors. If you're watching a game, you should be live tweeting it. And use social media. Don't be afraid of it. Use it as a resume for yourself. So that way, if people are thinking about hiring you, they can look on, your Twitter, your Instagram, and be like, okay, this person really does have a passion for what they're doing because they've been talking about it for the past 3 years. So I think that's what, I don't think anyone should be afraid of social media, and even if you hate it, you should definitely be on it. At least Facebook and Twitter, but try all the different platforms as they come out.
And one quick question for the talent on how you all have worked with your social media and how, because there's several people that want to be on camera. What's the right thing to post for talent? What's the right thing to post? What should you post? What should you retweet? There's that fine line if you guys want to talk. Because some people have lost their jobs from tweeting, retweeting.
Well, it is a balance you have to strike. If you're on air, people are interested in you and your life, but as people who are on air, we also are hoping to have some level of privacy if it's possible, but it is difficult. As far as the post, it's a preference. No one here at Channel 6, there's one thing about our station, they're not asking or demanding or requiring us to go into our personal life. They're not. But many of us, there are these different things that we're comfortable about, the things we're passionate about, our hobbies, things we enjoy, our pets. These are the things that people just want to know. You would think people are thinking maybe they want something very in-depth, but you can post the simplest things. When you're an on-air person, you already have an audience interested in you. So anything that you're posting, people want to see a little more about you, just a little different glimpse than what they see during your show or when you're reporting in the field. You have to be careful about that line of putting out news information and also opinions. That is something you have to find that balance in, because although you are a person and you have an opinion, people still are connecting you with what they see you do for your job, and you are a journalist. So that is a fine line, and you have to be careful, as Nikki was saying about sometimes these things get people in hot water and then maybe out of their job. That's the world we live in now, because that is the power of social media. That is where people are talking, and so that is where people are getting their news. So you just have to be aware. One of the guidelines people say is, can this go in the front page of the newspaper? Would you say that in front of your mother? Like, these are the things you have to say when you think about your post. If I opened the newspaper and saw that headline, would that be okay? If my mom said that out loud, how would she feel? And that's kind of a way to measure yourself. Would Jim Gardner do that? Maybe that's another way to, Chris definitely has a point there.
Thank you. We have about 5 more minutes, so everyone might not be able to ask their question, but you can ask them directly. Hopefully, how many people from our panel can stay for just a little bit? How many people can stay? A few people might be able to come up. We'll ask you guys to come up. Okay.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for being here. My name is Alex Pederak. I'm a junior at Temple. I do editing and design. And my question is kind of a follow-up from what Nikki said earlier, as we know that Channel 6 is the highest rated, most watched local 6 p.m. newscast in the entire country. So with that being said, what are all the different counterparts and departments, not just news, but sales and promotions, that go into making a station that powerful? What all goes into it for a production like that?
Yeah, that's a good it is all of it.
Yeah.
I would say that it's all of the various departments. Sales, the news department works closely with all of the departments within the station, and I think that that's what makes it successful is that we all work together with one common goal, is to continue to make this station continue its dominance, continue to be great. And so sales, social media, everything has to come together in order for us to continue to work together. And also, it's about great people. We bring in great people, and we have a lot of great people working at the station who, whether they're new or you've been here forever, everybody who comes in here comes in with an attitude of wanting to continue to work at making this station continue to be great. And so, you know, I would say all of it.
If I can just.
Sure, yeah, by all means.
And then, Margaret Rivet. So you guys, obviously, everyone knows it's news. You see the news, right? Everyone sees the newscast, everyone sees the Thanksgiving Day parade, everyone sees FYI Philly, right? So Maxine, how many people work in news at this station? How many people would you say work in news?
200.
Right, 200 people work at this station in general, right? So there's the news department, which is probably robust. That's the biggest, and they're responsible for making the product, making the content, right? So then you have tons of people in the engineering department, right? Engineering, they're the operational side. They're the ones that keep the signal on the air. They're the ones that keep the cameras working. They're the ones that make sure the lights are on, right? So tons of jobs there. There's also sales and marketing so they're the ones that actually sell the ad time. That's the reason why we're on the air. It's actually, news is the product, and the wrapper around it is sales and marketing, and that's where the revenue comes from. So revenue does not necessarily come from news. It's actually the salespeople that are out there selling the time, the commercials, in and around the content, right? And that's for every news organization. And let me tell you, where Jen works, that's the backbone of an organization. Sales and marketing is how revenue is made. Now, Maxine and Portia and everyone on air, they keep that content fabulous and number one and sparkling and shining, so the sales and marketing team can go out and actually sell it and make more money and charge a higher price, right? Then you have the promotions department. They're responsible for branding. So Ashley and Troy, they brand, they market. They're on social media. They're on 6abc.com. Which is another, we have several page views on 6abc.com. So that's also another avenue to go with the branding, all those who knows that, here's that Action News van again, right? Yeah, all right, everyone knows that tagline. They made that how many, 30 years ago? Literally 30 years ago.
It's everywhere.
It's absolutely everywhere. Our programming department is the one that does all like the fun and sexy little specials, like FYI Philly, and broadcasting the Thanksgiving Day Parade, the auto show, the flower show special. So that's another aspect of branding and marketing, and also a sales opportunity. Am I correct? Gotcha. And so I think also we have community engagement as well, because we serve the community. We're FCC regulated. We're supposed to be of a public service, so we also have to make sure we give back to the community as well, and that's where I come in. So I just want everyone to know there's so many different ways and so many different jobs and positions that make this station #1 for 35 years.
How many people does it take to do the flower show? Just behind the scenes and everything? Just a number. What do you figure?
40 probably?
There you go. All right, about at least 3 dozen. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing when they do the flower show, the auto show, and I'm not here to patronize, but it takes a lot of people, Next, thank you. Okay, Nikki says last question, okay.
Good morning. My name is Justin Backover. I'm a sophomore media studies and production major at Temple University with a minor in political science. And my question is, I guess, more geared towards on-air talent, and I'd also like to hear a producer's perspective. Working on TUTV, I'm putting my hand in everything because I understand the point of versatility, and I love the business, but I'm pretty sure that I want to do on-air journalism. And I believe that being a good on-air journalist is knowing how to edit and shoot and do all those things. But how in my career, because I want to take any opportunities presented, how do I guide the conversation to do what I want to do and get where I want to go? Thanks.
So what year are you now?
I'm a sophomore.
A sophomore. So when I was in college and I knew I wanted to be on air, I was very active at my university's television station. But what I did on my spring breaks in my junior and senior year, but I started at the end of my sophomore year. I looked at these small markets that maybe I could get my first job. And while I was in college, I began to email and call and send my tapes while I was in college. And I would say, I'm in college, I would appreciate, could you take a look at my tape? Tell me what you think, please. And I would send those out throughout my year. And on my spring break, when I knew I had time to visit places, that's what I did on my spring break. And that led to multiple job offers for me when I came out of college. So if you want to guide the conversation, then you put the narrative out there that you want. And that narrative for you now, you say you know you want to be on air, then you can go ahead and begin to look at stations and places that you're interested in. And if you're working at the Temple TV, then you should have something for someone to see, right? And so it's all about making the connections and letting people know who you are. And when it is time to hire, then that is what will separate your tape and your name from the stack that Chris talked about. It's never too early to ask someone to take a look at your tape and to make a connection. It's never too early to do that. So I would say to go that route, go ahead and start getting your content for people to see. And then, of course, now they're not going to offer you a job. Now they may offer you feedback. Someone may never get back to you. But if you reach out to 10, you may get 1. If you reach out to 20, you might get 2. And that's all you really need when it's time to get your first job is one person to offer you a job.
And if I can piggyback from Shari, I would also say reach out to some of the stations. I mean, if you want to go to sports or news, reach out to some of the talent, email them, tell them what you're doing, try to, gain some mentors in whatever area that you're going through, because along the way, I had some really great mentors that are still my mentors that were in the business and kind of guided me along the way. I mean, I knew I wanted to be a journalist on air, so I reached out to local anchors in the market. Can you look at my resume reel from college? Let me know what you think, and they'll kind of guide you and lead you along the way.
And if I could just say, as we're getting ready to wrap up, because I want you guys to have an opportunity to talk to some of the people on the panel in that regard. I just want to be able to have really the backbone of the news organization we have with the news producers. And I wanted Maxine and Portia just to talk about the need for people getting into writing and producing specifically, and Jen, just a little bit of a shout out for just sales and marketing. I think that's the most important. So, Maxine.
Basically, you talked about guiding yourself to a particular direction. I want to say to you that no matter what you want to do right now, for example, when I was in your shoes, I wanted to be a DJ. That was the uppermost in my mind. But prior to my even getting into radio, I was sideline reporter at football games. Little did I know that that would help me years later. I had no idea at that time that I would do over 5,000 sports events in my career. But doing the sideline reporting was basically the beginning of preparing me to do that later on in my career. So whatever you are faced with right now, whatever is available to you right now, do it to the best of your ability and keep on going in that direction. You'll reach your specific thing later on in life in the career and activity. But right now, do everything and anything you can to get involved in the business.
Thanks.
So we talk about producing, a lot of you stood up when Nikki asked who wanted to be on air. And I don't know how much is taught in school about all of the behind the scenes work that's available, but the backbone of the news business are the producers. They're the ones who put the shows on the air. They work well with their anchors. They work with their anchors, with their EP, with the reporters out in the field to get the newscast on. And really, if you're going to be on air, I think it's good to know what producing is, to learn about it. We've had some workshops here where we brought in some students from Temple or other universities, and I find that a lot of them always leave after sitting and working with producers for a little while. They leave here saying, even if they wanted to be on air, they're like, oh, this producing isn't so bad. Maybe that's what I want to do. So, when you're thinking about a career, I think you should think think about producing, think about some of the other behind-the-scenes jobs that are available to you, because unfortunately, I'll never tell someone not to go for your dream of wanting to be on air, but it doesn't happen a lot of times, and you have to have a backup plan. And producing shouldn't be your backup plan. It should be at least at the forefront of your mind as something that you can do, and then if the opportunity comes along to be on air, you have that background and you understand it.
Who likes to be the boss? When I was in college and I did my internship and I wanted to be on TV and be cute, I'm saying me, not you. I wanted to be on TV. I did my internship, and then I noticed this woman sitting in the corner, and I went and sat with her. She was the producer, and she was what I like to call the architect. And she put all the pieces in place. She took that reporter story for the day and put it where she wanted it. She put the interesting stuff that she liked into the show that she thought people would like, and she put it where she wanted it. She was the boss of her half hour. And I said, well, I like being the boss. Let me try that. And to speak on what you guys were saying earlier about connecting with people while you're in college, I'm from Augusta, Georgia. I just happen to be from a small market. So when I was in college, I sent a letter to all the news directors in Augusta saying, hey, I want to be a producer. And they're like, okay, well, we don't have a position right now. And one station said, we'll create something for you. Come work with us on the weekends. Now, I could have been out partying, having a good time, and going to step shows, those Greek, and all that. I gave some of that up to go home on the weekends because they created a position for me. And when you know it, when I graduated from college, there was a job waiting for me there. And so it's not glamorous per se, but to me, I feel like I'm performing a service, and I get to have my hands on a little bit of everything, and I get to express my creativity in that way, and it kind of makes me feel important, being the architect of the newscast. And like I said, I had a job as a producer while some of my classmates who wanted to be on air were still sending resume tapes.
And then Jen with sales and marketing, how important that is, and then.
Right, so I think a lot of people also don't realize that broadcast at the end of the day too is a business. Oh, you guys. Yes, there is a business element associated with broadcast, and I think it's really important to remember that area because it kind of serves as a dual purpose. So there's news content that airs, there's specials, there's campaigns, but we need revenue to make sure that people can see our content and that we're producing top-notch content for our viewers. So I think it's really important to integrate strong partners and sponsors, as Channel 6 has been able to do for decades, and these partners have stayed around for decades. That's been really important because it not only helps our advertisers receive promotion and receive exposure on a top media outlet, but it helps us because we're giving not only news but important content through our custom integrated campaigns, through our sponsorships, through our specials, that everything that we produce does cost money. So I think that it does serve that dual purpose, and I think the synergy with our partners is really important. I'm obviously very new to marketing and sales, so I'm learning, as I mentioned to you all, I was in English and Spanish, so my path has taken me here, but I do realize the importance of not only generating the revenue, but how that really pays off for our viewers and why it's so important. So remember that area of broadcast as well. It's really rewarding and definitely pays off, pun intended.
First of all, let's give a round of applause. One piece of advice, just one sentence. One sentence. One sentence. What is that?
Work hard, take chances, and don't be afraid to fail.
Don't be afraid to step outside of your comfort zone because you never know where it could lead, and it could lead to a new passion that you might develop.
I would say stay true to who you are. Never give up on your vision and your goal. Never be afraid of a no.
That's a good one. I'm going to use that too. And I'll add, do your internships. That, I'm telling you, that is the most important thing.
Because the internship is where you can fall flat on your face and it's okay. And that's one of the things my mentors taught me in my internship and even on my first job. Troy talked about in the beginning is where you can make your mistakes and it's okay. But once you move up that ladder, you are expected to be good and you're expected to do your job well. So make your mistakes now and it's okay to fall flat on your face.
That's a good one. It's okay to fall flat on your
Yeah.
face. Yeah. And it's also important to remember not to have tunnel vision, not to get so focused on doing one thing that you overlook other things that may be available to you. So that would be fine.
We talked about many things, but one thing we only talked about once earlier in the evening, and that's sales. The person usually that walks out with the most money out of radio or TV stations around the country are salespeople. So don't rule that out. That could be part of your activity in broadcasting.
Be a sponge. You know, absorb as much information as you possibly can now while you're in school and during your internship, because that's the only way you're going to learn, and that's how you're going to set yourself apart.
Learn everything you possibly can. In the beginning, always say yes, but also know your worth. And always have a cup of coffee handy.
Dunkin' Donuts?
I'll take anything, honestly.
We're not thinking.
I would say work hard and stay passionate and stay true to yourself. It'll go a very long way. People remember good people who are truly passionate about what they do.
Yeah, just piggybacking off of that, try to be memorable, whether it's at school, your internship, or your job. Try to set yourself apart from the person sitting next to you. Not necessarily try to be better than them, but be your best self, because people will remember who you are as a person and the work that you can do, and that could get you a job.
Give back when you can. I wouldn't be in this position if it wasn't for a lot of people helping me, and I actually won a Broadcast Pioneer Scholarship when I was in college, so you will be, thank you. You guys will all be in a position to help other people, and when you get that opportunity, take it, because you don't know what piece of advice is really going to stick with somebody and help them with their own self-confidence and getting their job.
Two things that I took away. One, relationships. Bobby Kravitz, he's been shooting some of these still photos today. 45 years ago, he was out shooting a Tiki or talent reader, B-roll, and we've been friends, lifelong friends ever since. The other is, if you dream it, you can achieve it. On behalf of the Broadcast Pioneers, we thank everyone up here, because I know it's been a long day for many of you. Nikki's going to continue to show us around. Fantastic. So network, take advantage of everything you can today, and I understand the filet mignon will be in shortly. Nikki, thank you so very much.